Hi everybody, welcome back to DayZ, and this is DayZ Experimental 1.28 running on my local PC server. And in this video I'm going to show you how you can install my slightly boosted loot server files for PC, PlayStation and Xbox consoles for CHERNARUS. Now I've got to stop you right now and just say, look, this is a different method we're going to be using this time. Look, this is the rack. Listen to this. Oh, how cool is that? This is the new R12 shotgun. Oh, and there's some other great stuff in this this update as well. We've got various optics that are coming in as well, and sort of gameplay changes in the background. So anyway, I tell you what, let me just get out of this so we can talk business. So every time there's an update, I produce boosted loot files, or they're slightly boosted loot files. If you know what you're doing, if you go to the description below this video, you'll find a link to my GitHub repository to this set of files here, the DayZ CHERNARUS update 1.28 slightly boosted loot. And what you're getting here is you're getting things like 2 times weapons, 2 times mags, 2 times boxed ammo, 2 times food, 2 times drinks, and then reductions in loose ammo, flags and clothing. Add in the Payday masks, mags full of bullets, more antibiotics, and there's some other quality of life stuff as well that helps. They're really simple and really easy to use. Now the difference this time is, instead of appending and overwriting the vanilla XML files on your server, we're going to be using the DayZ CFG Economy Core CE method. Okay, so if you know about how this works and you're like, oh right, cool, that's great, then by all means, crack on. Go to the GitHub repository, click on code, click on download zip, download the files. Once 1.28 is live, do the things you know you've got to do, install these files, and then you'll have the things that they do. For everybody else who's a little bit like, oh, scratching their heads a bit, maybe you're new to this, what I'm going to do is I'm going to kind of run through a little bit of the concept of how this works, and then I'm going to show you as best I can how to do it on an Xbox server, which will be similar to a PC server and a PlayStation server, well, the same as a PlayStation server. So the concept of using this method is that instead of having a types file, so you probably know, your big types file that you have that's really, really long, that has all the things that are in the game and controls how many spawn in and what the lifetime is and things like that. Instead of, when you want to edit that, say you want more baked bean tins, instead of going into that and saying, changing the number from like 20 to 30, you can actually have a separate file that has another entry for the baked bean tins, that instead of having 20 has 30 in. And so what the server does is it looks at the normal types.xml and goes, all right, okay, fair enough. Then it looks at your extra files and goes, okay, so this overrides that one, and then it spawns them in. The beauty of doing it this way is that going forward, for me especially, it makes it really easy to update these files every update, because remember, I've done a lot now. It makes it really easy to change them quickly as well. It also means that it's easier to find errors. It also means that no matter what happens with the vanilla files, these files will always work. So what I mean by that is, let's say for the next update, say update 1.29, I decide I've had enough, I cannot be bothered to produce these files anymore, I'm done. Okay, so the old way I would do it, which would be changing the vanilla XML files, that would be, you wouldn't be able to use those files anymore because they wouldn't include the new items that the devs have put in the game. So they put a new gun in the game. Well, if I don't update the vanilla files to the boosted loot files, that's it. They're useless. You'd miss out on them. With this method, though, because I'm not editing the vanilla files, when the vanilla files get updated to 1.29 or 1.30 or even going forward, even if you just use these 128 files, they'd still work and they would boost a lot and change a lot of the things in the game. So let's take a gun, for example. Say there's a new, let's say that they add a new potato gun to the game, all right? And we want to have more of them. So what would happen is they would add those into the types.xml. And let's say this is update 1.35, say. Now, what would happen with these files is that when you updated to the new vanilla files and they had the new potato gun in, that would spawn in anyway because you've updated those files. But then the server would look at my extra types and it would say, okay, well, all these other things, they need updating as well. So you need more of the M4, more of the M16. I need you to spawn in mags with guns, mags with bullets, and all that sort of stuff. So it keeps it working. I guess you could say it degrades gracefully. Is that the way you might want to say it? So it's just a better way of doing things. Now, if you're coming from the PC side of things as well, often when you download a mod, that adds things into the game, they'll have these extra types files or extra CFG spawnable types files as well, and you can use the same method of this. So you're not messing around with the vanilla files, you're doing these extra things. So what do we have to do then to make this work? Well, what I'll do is I'll show you on my local server here. So here we go. So this is a local server. So this is a server that's running on my local PC. Your remote server in the cloud for Xbox, PlayStation or PC, it runs in a very similar way. It's just that the browser looks a bit different and you can't see lots of these files. So if we go into the missions folder, so you'll be familiar with the missions folder, say for on Xbox it'll be XB missions, PS missions for PlayStation, and just missions for PC. If we go into CFG Economy Core here, if I open this up, all right. So normally it would kind of look like that, with that bit at the bottom. But you'll see here what we've done is we've added this extra little bit that says, right, what I want you to do is I want you to look in the custom folder and I want you to look for these files. So there's a type files, there's a file that's called 1C128 extra types.xml, and that should append or edit the types files. And then there's the 1C128 extra events, and that's an events. So not only you've got to tell it where the file is, you've also got to tell it what vanilla XML file this is editing, if you like. And the one that is easy to trip up on, which I did for years, I tripped up on this, the CFG spawnable types one, the type isn't CFG spawnable types, the type is spawnable types. So as you can see, we've got that there. And then if we look in my customs folder, here we go, what we should see is down the bottom, here we go, you see they're all here. There's a few more as well, but where I've been testing stuff. So they're there. Now, the reason why we put them in the custom folder on console is because if a file is not in the custom folder, the server just won't read it. So it'll just get lost. So what you'll notice is if you're installing this on PC, I tell you in the readme instructions, create a custom folder and put the files in there because it keeps them separate as well. And this works really, really well, and it's nice and easy. I've done testing locally on 1.28 experimental, and I have tested on 1.27 with the same method on an Xbox server, and it seems to be working. However, you know, I'm pretty famous for making errors in my files, so if you do find errors or mistakes, please let me know in the comments below the video so that I can correct them when I can. I'll also put links in the description below this video to the official DayZ BI wiki that kind of explains how this works, so you've got some more background there. So what are we going to do? So what do you have to do? Well, as I say, you're going to go over to my GitHub repository and you're going to download the zip so it's on your local PC, and you're going to extract the zip, and then you're going to read the readme, because the readme contains all of the instructions. The optional file that is kind of optional is the cfgspawnabletypes.json. So the cfgspawnabletypes.json, you can use it, you might not want to use it, but what it does, it gives you build anywhere, and it also gives you the ability to, if you just pick up a map and look at it on console, it will show you where you are in your heading and all that sort of stuff. On PC, you can just press M and the map will come up, even if you don't own a map or a GPS. If you've got a keyboard plug into your console, it will as well, but I know most of us don't have that. And so what you do is you go to your server, you're going to restart your server with vanilla files, so you're going to reset the files to vanilla, and then you're going to upload the cfgspawnabletypes.json over the top of the existing file, and then in the custom folder, you're going to add these files, and then you're going to edit the CFG economy core file and add this bit at the bottom. So let's do it then. Yeah, let's do this together. Right, so here we go. So this is a DayZ community server for Xbox. So what you want to do first is go into the general settings, like here, and you'll want to stop the server. So just stop your server. Actually, there's one other thing I should say as well. On your dashboard, it does this, doesn't it, sometimes? So what you'll see sometimes is it will give you the version number of the game. So you're waiting for it to say 1.28. So when 1.28 goes live and you hear this off DayZ's X or DayZ's Twitter, or you see it on their blog or something like that, Nitrado will update a little bit after this, and in this section normally it'll tell you, or you can look into the files. Actually, you can't look into files, can you? No, this is where you really want to see. If you're in doubt, just wait a bit, wait till the day after or something like that. So then we want to go into the settings here. And then what we want to do is we want to stop the server. It's always good to stop the server when you're doing stuff. So stop your server. Now you've got a choice, really. You've got to ask yourself, am I doing a wipe, or am I just going to update the files? And the reason for this is that, I don't know, what I do is I wipe my servers every 6 months, so I don't normally wipe them till June. But maybe if you've been having some trouble with your server, or you just fancy doing a wipe, then you can do that at the same time. But what we do want to do is scroll down, and we want to reset mission XML to default. So you tick that. Now if you want to do a wipe, you tick that one as well, but I'm going to untick that one. So reset mission XML to default. Now also at this point, really remember that if you've done any edits, or you've got any files in the custom folder that you want to keep, that you don't want to accidentally get deleted, make sure you download them. Any edits that you've made to other files that you want to keep, make sure you've downloaded everything, because a lot of this is just going to disappear. So we say reset mission XML default, we save changes, and then we restart the server. So the server will go through it all, and the files will then be set to 1.28 vanilla. Okay, so once it's restarted, we can unclick that there, and then we can save the changes, and so the server's kind of ready to go. I'd stop the server again if it's started. Then we want to go to the file browser on Tools, and yours will look probably something like that. So it will say DayZ XB or DayZ PS, or I think just DayZ, I think it says there. And then we want to go into, we want to go in there? No, we don't want to go there. We're wrong bit. We want to DayZ XB missions, or DayZ PS missions, or just missions, and then it will be CHERNARUS Plus in this case. And we're going to click on that. And here we are. We're kind of in the root directory for the missions now. So this is where we can go into CFG Economy Core, like this, and you can scroll down. Now, as long as you're careful, you can edit this in the browser. So your one will probably look something like that. So underneath the defaults, press enter to make a space, and before CFG Economy Core, and you want to copy and paste, where are we? That bit there, and you want to copy and paste that. Come on, Rob, get it right. Into there. So let's paste that into there. So these are the files. So this is we're saying, look, Mr. Server, in the custom folder, can you please look for these files and append these other files with my files? So that's good. So then we would save that. I don't need to because it's already there. And then we go back to the mission. And then we go into the custom. And you would say upload file. And then you would upload those files from your computer. And then you would restart the server. And the changes would then start to take effect. Now please bear in mind that if you haven't done a wipe, or you've let the server run after a wipe, what happens is that the central economy will have already started to spawn stuff in, or the stuff will already be there. So for example, these files, one of the things they do is they make most things spawn in pristine. Whenever you find something, it's pristine, so it's going to last a lot longer. When you find a gun, it's going to have a magazine in it, and the magazine is going to be full of bullets, so everything's more useful. However, if all that stuff has already been on the server and is just lying around, and you've got damaged stuff without magazines, magazines without bullets, all that sort of stuff, they're not going to instantly disappear unless you do a wipe. They're going to cycle through their normal lifetime. And how long that takes really depends on how many people are on your server. Because what happens is your server will go to sleep. Now, in the globals setting, I do adjust it so that your server will stay live, I think, for 10 minutes after the last person leaves. So that means that the server will keep churning through the central economy, and will start, despawn things and respawn the new things in. But it can take quite a long time. If you've got lots of people on the server, and so the server isn't going into sleep mode, this process will it'll happen further in quieter areas. But where people are picking things up and dropping them and picking things up and dropping them, those things, their lifetimes will keep getting extended. So they'll hang around for a bit longer. So if you wanted a fresh start with this, what I would suggest you do is you stop the server, you reset the mission XML to default, and restart so it's got the vanilla files in it. And then after you've done that reset, what you then want to do is stop the server again, and then you want to tick on wipe server, and then you want to upload these files and then do that restart. So that what will that do is it will wipe the server, and then it will start repopulating it straight away with the new stuff. So you'll end up with things that are have magazines with guns and vehicles with stuff on them and things like that. Phew, so there we go. Hopefully you find these files useful. If you do, let me know. I've spent a big chunk of my life making files for DayZ like this over the last few years. I wonder where I started. It was quite a long time ago anyway, wasn't it? And of course, if you do find the errors, please let me know, because I do make errors. I do validate the files and things like that, but there's always chances I've missed stuff out. But hopefully you found this useful. If you have, hit like. If you want to see more of the same, press subscribe. And of course, I'll see you again soon.